Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you all are having a great weekend and enjoying yourselves, incorporating self love and self care, being kind to yourselves and others. I am having a fabulous Saturday. I have been very busy with reading. So if you would like to book a personal reading, by the way, I am available. You can definitely text me at 703-791-9162. The number's on the screen. Or, of course, you can visit my website, lamarr That's probably the best place to book a reading with me if you'd be interested. So let me go ahead and show you all my website if anyone is interested to book a reading. All right. This is my website, lamarr Once you reach this page, you know you're on the right page. You can scroll down and read reviews. Follow me on my social media pages as well. By the way, I just posted on Instagram and Facebook both weekly horoscopes for the upcoming week in August. So definitely check that out. And if you would like to book a reading, go to the store section of my website. This is where you can go to view everything I offer. I offer email readings, video recorded readings, birth chart readings, including individual compatibility and 12-month ahead transit birth chart readings, which are all sent to your email for you to download and keep forever, basically. Also, I offer candles, protection candles, love candles, money candles, success and finances candles, cleansing candles, open roads candles, and more. I also offer 15-minute, 30-minute, hour-long phone readings, as well as mediumship readings, merch, handmade evil eye bracelets. I'm in the middle of making some bracelets right now, child. Past life readings, spiritual development classes, astrology classes, tarot classes, and so much more. If you'd be interested in any of those things, definitely check out my website, lamarrtownsendtarot.com. Hello, everyone. Hi, the new matriarch. Hi, Keisha. Hi, hello, everyone. We'll give people a few more minutes to come in the room, all right, and get ready for grab your snacks. Come on back. It's all that, child. Get ready for the live. This won't be too long, all right. I'm not gonna make this, too much of an extensive reading, but I'm gonna definitely get to the basics, some important bits. Because I did take a quick peek at his chart, child. This is actually his chart right here, by the way. So, I did take a peek at his chart, and there's some interesting things, especially with the parents. So, it starts with the parents, child. But anyways, hello everyone. I hope you all are having a great weekend once again. Let's just go ahead and get started. I am not necessarily on a time crunch, but I just don't want to waste time. And I am going out. I'm going out tonight, but I'm going to the movies. Y'all know I love to go to the movies. That is one of my self-love, self-care routines. And tonight I'm going to go see The Naked Gun, which is starring Liam Neeson, who I've not seen in a movie in a while, and Pamela Anderson, who I do absolutely love and adore. I think she's so cute and adorable. So I'm going to go see that tonight, and I'm very excited. Where's my coffee, by the way? Dang it. Should we give people a few more minutes to come in the room? I don't know if I want to play a song. That might take too long. But I also want to go get my coffee. I think my coffee's in the other room. Can I go get my coffee real quick? It'll only be like a few seconds, I promise. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go get my coffee. Cause child, I need it. It's Diddy. It's Diddy, child. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I'm back. See how quick that was? It is a hot day here in Virginia, and I don't know. But I'm feeling good, y'all. I hope y'all are weathering the storm of this Mercury retrograde. All right. And just being your lovely selves, honey. Okay? Okay. Let's get into the reading. Are y'all ready? Hi from London. Hi, Alexa. Hi, Marsha. That's my aunt's name, Marsha. Yes, Marsha. Or is it Jan? I forgot. Anyway. Goodly Blessed says, hello, Lamarr in group chat. It's been so long since I've caught live. No, I've not been live in a little while, so I'm happy to be live with you all. Thank you all for being here. It has been a busy Mercury retrograde. It has been an interesting Mercury retrograde. I don't know if I want to tell you all the story about the situation yesterday. I I don't even know if it's my story to tell, but anyway, I'm moved past it. But yeah, let's just say this Mercury retrograde is gonna get you either way, child. All right, it's gonna get you either way. But once again, we transmute that energy, we cleanse our energy, we just bask in loveliness and self-love and self-care. That's how we get through things on this channel, honey. So I hope you all once again incorporating that. Diddy, I don't know if you're listening to this in the jail cell, because I know I heard these days they got internet in the jail, they got TV and all different types of things going on. So, and Diddy, incorporate self-love and self-care into your routine as well. Let's get into Diddy's chart. Are y'all ready? I need Goodly Bless says I need coffee, green juice. I need it all. Keisha says what happened. I don't know if I want to say. I don't know if I want to say it was an issue with a client. It was a misunderstanding. They absolutely took it to a different level than it needed to go. But I am, what's the word? I hold no hard feelings. You know. Um Mind you all, I also am, dealing with my uncle. By the way, good news, my uncle is doing better. He is doing well. All right. So thank God for that. But yeah, anyway. It's okay. It is what it is. So, let's get into Diddy and his chart, you all, and see what is going on with Diddy, child. Let's get into the astrological makeup of Diddy. All right. Dang. Okay, hold on. Let me set the scene real quick. There we go. Okay. Okay. Take two. That's good. I'm glad to hear about your unc. Yes, thank you, Keisha. Okay, let's try this again. Take two. Let's get into Diddy's chart. So let's start with the fact that once again I googled Diddy's birthday and birthplace. You can look this information yourself. So Diddy was born November 4th, 1969, in Harlem, New York City. He was given the birth name Sean John Combs. Very interesting. All right. So here we have Sean Diddy Combs' birth chart. Born once again November 4th, 1969. Let me double check that. November 4th, 1969. There we go. All right. I don't know the time he's born. I never really can trust the celebrities unless I see their birth chart physically. I can never really trust the internet's timing of a celebrity's, birthday, So I just always, when it comes to celebrity readings, set the chart at 12 noon, which is smack dab in the middle of the day, to kind of give us some room if we need to do a transit. I already looked at his moon. We can do it together if you want to, but his moon is definitely in Virgo. We'll do it together so you guys can see how that works, actually. All right, so last thing. Happy to hear your uncle is recovering well. Thank you. Hi, Maria. Yes, I love how you all are saying like hi to each other. Okay. So he was born in Harlem, New York City. So unfortunately, when I type in Harlem, New York City doesn't show up. Look at this. Harkova, all these different places. The only Harlem that shows up, ironically, is Florida. But it's New York City. So I just type in New York. City. And here we have New York City, New York. So not exactly Harlem, but New York City. So still the same location, still the exact same location. So this is an accurate description of his birth chart. Not necessarily time specific. We don't know the time he was born, but in terms of the month, the day, the year, and the location he was born, this is specific in terms of his birth chart. All right. This is his month, day, year, and location, birthday specific birth chart. Okay. Diddy's birth chart. All right. Now, since we don't know the time he was born, unfortunately, we won't be able to look at the degrees. We won't be able to necessarily look at the houses either or the location of the planets themselves. But with the information we have right here, nonetheless, we have a lot to go off of. Okay. So, are y'all ready? Hi, Stacy. Goodly says Diddy was dropped from the sky like the vampire in Sinners. Oh my god. Child, I mean, you might be right, honey. Let's get into it. Okay, so Diddy is a Scorpio. Scorpio sun, once again born on November 11th or November 4th, all right, 1969. So I also want to say that he's a Pluto and Virgo born person, so that means he's a Generation X, all right? In the early part of Generation X, by the way, but generation or no, he's kind of in the middle actually because I think it's the 1950s. It's between the 1950s and the 1970s, I think, is Generation X. So he's actually kind of in the middle towards the end, um, which is interesting. Almost cusping on not necessarily millennial territory, but once again, latter Generation X with his Pluto in Virgo here. Now, he also is a moon in Virgo. All right. So his moon in Virgo is conjunct his Pluto in Virgo. Now, when it comes to astrology, we have to be mindful of time and location if we want to be as specific as possible. Now, once again, we don't know the time he was born, but we know that he was born in New York City, New York, right? So, based off that information, since we don't know the time he was born, the moon is one of those kind of astrological entities. I can't necessarily call it. I guess it is a planet. Yeah, it is a planet. It's more. It's an entity, right? It's a planet. Entity, whatever you want to call it. It's one of those planets entities that changes zodiac signs more often. All right, so the moon actually can be more time and more location specific than we think. However, once again, we'll look at Diddy's moon right now, actually. So I'm going to go 6 hours ahead and 6 hours behind to see if the moon changes at all the day Diddy was born. That'll give us more of a time, locations, specific view of Diddy's moon. All right. That's how a transit reading works, by the way. All right. So right now the time is 12 noon at his chart. All right. So we're going to go 6 hours ahead to 6 p.m. See how much the chart changes in those 6 hours, though? But nonetheless, the moon is still in Virgo 6 hours. All right. Ahead. Let's go 6 hours more ahead to the next day, basically. The moon is still in Virgo. So it's safe to say that if Diddy is born between the hours of 12 noon and 11:59 p.m. the day he's born, he's definitely a moon in Virgo. All right. Let's go 6 hours behind to the morning time he was born to see if he is in fact a moon in Virgo. Are y'all following? All right. I'm trying to break it down as easy as possible, but this is also, if you were to ever get a birth chart reading, this is basically what a birth chart reading would be like getting from me. All right, so let's go 6 hours behind. 6 a.m., moon is still in Virgo, the day he's born. But you all notice how much the chart is changing and shifting as the hours shift from, the morning to night. Let's go 6 hours more to 12 a.m., the day he's born. Moon is still in Virgo. So Diddy is definitely a moon in Virgo. That's a fact. So we can factually state, based off the month, the day, the year, and the location that Diddy was born, that Diddy is a sun in Scorpio and a moon in Virgo. What does that tell me? That tells me that Diddy is very secretive. Diddy's a very secretive person. Not surprising, right? So here we have his sun in Scorpio. He's in fact a moon in Virgo, all right? He's a sun in Scorpio conjunct his Neptune in Scorpio. We were just talking about secrets. Neptune is the planet that rules secrets, secrecy. This is one's life behind closed doors. And that explains even the anger that we saw in that Cassie video. Scorpio is ruled by both Pluto and Mars. So in some way, shape, or form, it's interesting when it comes to Neptune. If you're not careful, Neptune, especially in Scorpio, can be misplaced anger. So it's safe to say that in that Cassie video, that was a lot of misplaced anger. By the way, see, we're about to break it down. Are y'all have your snacks ready, child? Let me take a sip of my coffee. By the way, it's just black coffee. I don't like anything in my coffee. I don't even like sugar in my coffee. Just black coffee, please. That Cassie video was misplaced anger. He has anger. He has deep-seated anger issues, y'all. All right. So once again, his sun, the sun in astrology is how we express ourselves. The sun is also our childhood memories. Put a pin in that right there. Because when you're a sun in Scorpio, I'm not saying all sun in Scorpios have this with them, but when you're a sun in Scorpio or potentially even a fifth house in Scorpio, you may have childhood trauma. So it's safe to say from this, Diddy most likely, I'll say allegedly, but I don't even know. I feel strongly about this for the fact that his sun in Scorpio is conjunct his Mercury in Scorpio. Y'all, Mercury rules your young childhood to young adult years. That means Mercury rules from the time that you come out the womb, from about the time you turn from about the time of your first Saturn return. Diddy has a lot of unhealed trauma. That's what we saw in that Cassie video. He's actually batshit crazy, says that exactly. Trauma often manifests in behaviors. Exactly. Sonia says, I have a degree in psychology. Very interesting to observe him. Exactly. You wonder what he saw as a child to think that was okay as a way to express your anger and frustration. Anyway, so let's break down Scorpio real quick. Scorpio is ruled mainly by Pluto. Pluto is the ruler of transformation, major endings, and major crisis in our life. Pluto can be associated with trauma, but not just trauma, more so trauma in the sense of, yes, we all go through trauma, but how do we evolve and grow through that trauma? Or how do we become maybe debilitated by that trauma? Right? Um, Pluto is also the ruler of endings in our life, death, how we, react to death, endings. We know Diddy has an alleged interesting connection to death. There's been a lot of death around him allegedly, but he ends up, standing like Trump or Michael Myers, like he's gotten 9 lives, so to speak, right? Allegedly. But Pluto is also connected to detective work, obsessiveness. All right. Now, Scorpio is actually one of those zodiac signs that's ruled by 2 planets. Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. This is where things get interesting. Mars, Diddy's connection to Mars, child. Let's talk about Mars and masculinity. In this case, toxic masculinity. I should have put that in the title now that I think about it. Should I change the title? Let's go back to his chart. All right. So once again, he is a Sun in Scorpio conjunct his Mercury in Scorpio. Scorpio is one of those zodiac signs that's ruled by also Pluto and Mars. Mars is the ruler of one's self-image, how one sees themselves, how other people see them. It's also associated with the first impressions you make. Mars is also associated with how we express our raw energy as well as how we express our anger. Mars is also associated with war, the military, the meat packing industry, things of this nature, um, masculinity, things of this nature, right? So with the Mercury and Scorpio, and then we have to look at what oppositions we have going on here. So we have Sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, Neptune in Scorpio. Let's see. Where this would all be in opposition to his Venus in Libra. Interesting. This is where his abusive side comes in. His abusive side comes in the form of abusing femininity. That explains why it was not just women, it was also men. But not just any man. It was most likely a particular man that had a particular connection to his femininity. That includes Diddy, by the way, allegedly. All right. This would make his Sun in Scorpio, his Mercury in Scorpio, his Neptune in Scorpio in opposition to his Venus in Libra, which Venus is associated with marriage. We know he was married. He was married to Kim Porter, who ended up passing away. Interesting. That's that Pluto aspect of death, allegedly, in opposition to that Venus and Libra energy, wanting to overtake femininity or wanting to control femininity. Allegedly, once again. Venus is also associated with one's relationship with themselves. So this shows that Diddy had a chaotic relationship with himself, let alone other people. All right. Venus is also associated with how we make our money and how we spend our money. Now, this is where Diddy has friends in high places. Venus and Libra is also associated with the justice system. Now, when you have that energy in opposition to your Venus, you have the potential to cross people. You also have the potential to have dirt on people. With a Scorpio in opposition to a Venus in Libra energy. So we always think when it comes to Diddy and snitching and who is he gonna snitch on? Is it gonna be Beyonce, Jay-Z? Who is y'all saying? Who is the internet saying, child? Busta Rhymes? Like, I don't know, you know. What about the political officials? What about the alleged people in the justice system, maybe? Does the rabbit hole go deeper than we think? Allegedly? The Diddy connection? Allegedly. Let's look at where Libra is further in his chart. He also has Jupiter in Libra. Jupiter is associated with one sense of optimism, expansion, one sense of freedom. He's a diplomat. He has diplomatic qualities. This is that suaveness that he has. The ability to make connections with people to get what he wants. That's Libra in Jupiter here. Making the right connections to make it happen, right? Especially when you've got that energy conjunct your Venus. Jupiter is also connected to one sense of taking a risk or taking a chance. Let's pose this question. If you've allegedly got the justice system to some degree on your side, it's more easier to take a risk or a chance, isn't it? Especially when you've got this makeup in your chart. Allegedly, hypothetically speaking. Child, I don't know. I think we might need to pull out something a little bit stronger, child, because by the way, this is not alcohol. This is actually THC. It's legal here, so it's 10 milligrams. But Diddy always strikes me as someone that loves to take women's power while getting off on overpowering men. Yeah. Sociopathic and malignant narcissistic behaviors. I think the rabbit hole does. The mayor of New York gave him the key to the city, knowing he was dirty, allegedly. And what's the mayor's name again? Do you see him being good to his kids as a father? Do the kids see as a different side? Really much so the girls, because the boys are a lot like him, allegedly. We have to look at his Saturn. We have to look at his Saturn. I wish we knew what his 10th house is, his midheaven, but that would be time specific. And I'm gulping it. Child, I had to gulp it, honey. Child, let's get back into it. The mayor's mad shady. He really Eric Adams, yes. Eric Adams, child. So he has his Jupiter in Libra. He knows how to make the right connections. He always knew. It was by making the right connections with his Jupiter conjunct his Venus in Libra that he got to where he is, but also that he got away with getting away with what he did for so long. But what happens when those people have dirt on you too? See, this oppositional energy, there's some things he should have learned from his childhood or from growing up, you know, trying to overcome his trauma, so to speak. Because Mercury also is associated with the local environment you grow up in. So Diddy did not just grow up in trauma in his household. Diddy grew up in trauma in his local environment. That means, allegedly, there was trauma not just in his household, but maybe allegedly in Harlem, New York City at the time. What was really happening in Harlem, New York City at that time? All right. Allegedly, once again. Um, he also has his Uranus in Libra. Once again, Uranus rules social network. Y'all, he got away with what he got away with for so long because he had connections in the right places. Libra rules the justice system. That includes law enforcement, judges, political officials, diplomats, right? Celebrities. That's encompassed in Libra too. Libra's Venus. All right. Not the crack era. Child. You talk about Harlem back then was the worst in Harlem. Lord have mercy. Oh, actually you might be right in terms of timing. That actually checks out, yeah. Historically speaking, you know. Uranus is also one sense of inventiveness. So with Uranus and Libra, we can deduce that he learned from the people around him moving up the ladder. So we also need to look at who was Diddy associated with when he was coming up, because that's who he allegedly learned the tricks of the trade from. So let's recap this part of his chart. Diddy's Uranus, Jupiter, and Libra. Diddy's Uranus, Jupiter, and Venus is in opposition to his Mercury, which would be his mind and his thoughts. So it's interesting his Mercury was in opposition to his Jupiter, because Mercury is associated with our first thought, but Jupiter is associated with our critical thought. So his first thought was to go to his trauma surviving self with Mercury and Scorpio. But his secondary thought was to go towards his social climbing ladder self, maybe at any cost, with this opposition. Specifically when it comes to your own image and likeness. But anyways, that's that Mars aspect here too. Mars, once again, Scorpio's ruled by Mars. So once again, recapping, Diddy's Uranus in Libra, Jupiter in Libra, Venus in Libra is in opposition to his Mercury in Scorpio, his Sun in Scorpio, and his Neptune in Scorpio. That means he also learned secrets along the way and also garnered blackmail about people along the way. So basically what's happening here is, as Diddy was learning the tricks of the trade while he was coming up, he was also taking notes on the people he was learning from. And when you take so many notes on someone, eventually you have some leverage over them, especially when you've been studying them for so long, right? Social climbing 101. Is Diddy a social climber allegedly? To the darkest degree, maybe? Because when we're also talking about in this case, Scorpio, see, it's interesting because we're really talking about the Mars and Venus aspect, oppositional aspect. We're talking about the Mars and Venus spectrum here. But then we have that added layer of Pluto, which makes it even darker. The Mars and Venus spectrum is how balanced or imbalanced you are. So this also comes from Diddy's maybe lack of balance within himself. Let's look back at his moon. Did we check at his moon? Yeah, his moon is his moon's in Virgo. We didn't get into that yet. Let's move on. All right. He's a Pluto in Virgo. He's a moon in Virgo. All right. Let's see if he has any Pisces. I don't notice any Pisces. Nope, he has his North Node in Pisces. So this would make Diddy's moon in Virgo and his Pluto in Virgo and his moon in Virgo in opposition to his North Node in Pisces. The moon in astrology is associated with one's mother, one's home, one's emotional self, how one expresses their emotions, one's emotional reactions and instincts, what one needs to feel emotionally secure and safe in the world at large. Virgo is associated with the 6th house. It's associated with Mercury. Virgo is associated with one's work, one's job, one's routine. So Diddy's a very routine type of person. Routine brings some emotional comfort, right? Self-improvement is Virgo. Virgo is also associated with health, all right? One sense of organization. He was very organized. All right. Also, Pluto here. So we talked extensively about Pluto. He's a Pluto in Virgo. So he's actually a part of, once again, we talked about Generation X. Pluto is the generation you're born into. All right. So when we have Moon in Virgo, this would also give us an insight into his mother. With a Moon in Virgo, his mother would have been a very regimented or routine person herself. But the mother would have also had a lot of secrets, with Moon in Virgo being in opposition to North Node and North Node in Pisces. North Node is the blueprint for your current life's purpose. It's what you're meant to achieve in this lifetime. All right. North Node in Pisces. Pisces is associated with Neptune. It's also co-ruled by Jupiter. So Pisces is associated with one's life behind closed doors once again. This represents Diddy's need for order and organization. This represents the need for those baby oils to always be stocked up. All right. This represents the need for, things needing to be in a running order. Tapes needing to be organized in a certain way, right? Pisces is also associated with spirituality, spiritual growth. Pisces is one's hidden strengths and weaknesses. Pisces is associated also with premonitions, all right? Your dreams. So Diddy may have been someone that he may be someone that has very vivid dreams. He could also actually be very quite psychic, believe it or not. And part of his purpose in life was to incorporate that in a healthy way, all right? Pisces is one's need for privacy and solitude. Pisces is also one's connection to the spiritual realm. So North Node in Pisces shows me that Diddy's talked to spirit and has always talked to spirit. All right. However, with this being in opposition to Moon in Virgo, there could be some, what's the word I'm looking for? Especially because Pisces is co-ruled by Jupiter. There could be some dichotomy between his spiritual journey and his mother's teachings, or what he was taught growing up to believe. That could show up in different ways. Now, I don't know a lot about his mom. I don't know if his mom is a Jehovah's Witness or a Christian Baptist child, or if she was always someone that did magic maybe, or once again, how did she organize her religion or her spirituality? Because however that showed up, it influenced Diddy. Also, her job, her work, her routine influenced Diddy as well, for the better or the worse. Pluto and Virgo as well here. Once again, Pluto is about change, evolution, growth. Virgo is about, once again, sustainability. It's about creating healthy routines for yourself to sustain yourself. It's about service, being of service to others, being of service to self. But when we've got this in Pisces, North Node in Pisces can show where his creativity comes from, right? But this also can be stealing from others, jacking off of other people's style with this opposition. Right? This is that energy of probably always having a soft spot for his mother as well, to be honest. Maybe at times seeing the mother as can do no wrong. As, he may be, he may look at the mother as, she did the best she could to help us survive, right? I mean, a lot of people look at their mothers that way, and rightfully so, right? But when it comes to this energy as well, there's also a question of, in the mother's pursuits, in the mother's routines, the question of the child's safety comes into play. Not just physically, but spiritually as well. especially with North Node in Pisces when one's purpose was to always be spiritual? What if there was spiritual abuse in some way, shape, or form from the jump, and that's all one knows? Not excusing his behavior, but once again, maybe it's all the mother knew as well. Is to just how to survive by any means necessary. And also when we have this opposition of Mercury and North Node in Pisces, or just Mercury and or Virgo and Pisces in general, keeping secrets is important to keep up the routine. So what secrets did the son keep for the mom when the son was growing up? And then it became, what secrets did the mom keep for the son when the son was grown? Ooh, child. North Node, part of your purpose becomes keeping secrets with a North Node in Pisces. That can show up in different ways. For example, a healthy way of a North Node in Pisces showing up would be a therapist. Or you fulfilling your purpose through therapy, right? Keeping people's secrets. Remember, Pisces is also light worker energy, healer energy. His part of his purpose in this lifetime was to be a light worker and a healer. But when you're damaging others and causing spiritual damage to others in different ways, what do you think happens? And also, when you use spirituality for bad as well. This could also be organized religion, organized crime. Can be the Virgo in North Node and Pisces oppositional energy as well. Which, speaking of which, let's get into his Mars. Organized crime. His Mars is in Capricorn. We were talking about the father, or I think we were talking about the father earlier. Saturn, Capricorn. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, right? His Saturn is retrograde in Taurus. Saturn retrograde in Taurus can be a get it by any means necessary mentality. Saturn retrograde in Taurus can also be, especially retrograde, can be quite literally, Saturn retrograde in any planet or any zodiac sign can be the absence of the father. Or the father was there, but the father's taken away in some way, shape, or form. Right? Now, when we've got Taurus, Taurus is Venus once again. Interesting. So when we have Saturn, let's just pause right here real quick. When we have Saturn retrograde in Taurus, we have to question the father's intentions and morals. Did the father value his own comforts in his own life rather than being a father? This could also speak to Diddy as a father. Is this what got Diddy into? Is this part of what got Diddy into situation? See, what time is it, y'all? I'm not even paying attention to the time. I'm just like vibing with y'all. I'm just like deep in his chart for real, for real. My phone is dead. I didn't even realize my phone's dead. Is this part of the issue? Did Diddy value his comfort, his money, the clothes, the image. Did he value all of those things over being a father? And if he had focused more on being a father and more so creating comfort, getting ice, getting nice clothes for his children, would things have been different for Diddy? How do you how do you become a father when you never had a father yourself? That takes a lot of soul searching, and it's possible, but it takes a lot. I don't know if he did what it took to, especially when you got Saturn retrograde in Taurus. Let's also take the fact that his Saturn is also in opposition. Diddy's Saturn in Taurus is also in opposition to his Mercury in Scorpio, his Sun in Scorpio, and his Neptune in Scorpio. What fathers did what secrets did the father hold? And is that part of also why he never was able to show up? What did the father potentially get caught up in? And there's something inherently within Diddy, I'm going to say, where maybe growing up, he always felt like, I don't want to become my father. But unfortunately, he became exactly who his father was, most likely. His father passed when he was little. His father was allegedly a hitman for both Bumpy Johnson and... oh, see? So he relied on his mom to fill the areas his dad could not exactly. Diddy's dad got killed in 721, I think. He was a DRUG dealer. Dad was allegedly a gangster. Crime. Like father, like son. But maybe also like mama, like son too. Allegedly. Maybe the mom was just better at it. Allegedly. Hmm. So his Saturn is in retrograde in Taurus. Saturn is also connected to his career and his professional destiny. Y'all, this is why he lost it all. Saturn retrograde in Taurus is the potential to lose it all. Especially when it's in opposition to your Mercury and you've not healed your childhood issues. Especially when it's in opposition to your Sun and you've not healed your childhood issues. Especially when it's in opposition to your Neptune when you've not healed your issues. This is why he lost everything. He did not heal his issues. And with this opposition, you put value in those things. So imagine how he feels right now. Sonia says, I need to get me a reading from Lamarr. Child. So Miss Juliana says, Sonia, you got to get one. I actually think Miss Juliana's gotten a reading from me before. Miss Juliana says, have you guys booked your own birth chart reading with Lamarr? So it is so good as this one here on Diddy. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Juliana. Yeah, but I mean, it's literally the same thing, y'all. When we don't take great care of our family examples, we are deemed to repeat behaviors. Exactly. It is generational curses, generational trauma. He wasn't even a humble man. Both Albie Shore and Ryan Leslie said he took their women right in their faces. He said, I want your chick and I'm going to get her. KP and Cassie. I think he's also a warlock. Definitely. You are great. Thank you, Sonia. Definitely a warlock, child. That's that Neptune and Pisces. That's where the warlock comes in, child. In opposition to his moon and Pluto and Virgo. That's the warlock opposition, but he didn't use it in the right ways. See, he was always meant to be a warlock. A warlock isn't necessarily bad. Don't try the warlock, right? But, that was part of his purpose, right? But when you inherently use something for bad and you don't balance, once again, he has Venus in his chart, so balance is key for him. He spent too much on the dark. See, the big thing with Scorpio is, yeah, you spend time in the dark to elevate to the light. That's what it's about, Diddy, right? That was your purpose. Ooh, child. All right. So once again, his Saturn is in opposition, or his Saturn is retrograde in Taurus. This is where he lost it all because he did not heal himself or did not focus on his own healing and teaching others how to heal themselves. All right. And when you have Saturn retrograde in Taurus, I mean, this explains once again his father was willing to get his own sense of comfort by any means necessary. The son repeated the same behavior, getting his own comfort by any means necessary. That means at the behest of other people. That means if you get in my way, you might go down, right? Especially with this Mars and Capricorn energy. Mars is how you express your anger. Capricorn is associated with self-regulation, self-discipline, self-control. Capricorn is your career, your professional destiny, your status in society. So yeah, without healing himself, he was doomed to repeat his dad's behaviors. Absolutely. Unfortunately, with the Mars and Capricorn here, it's ingrained in your DNA. But that Mars and Capricorn aspect once again shows the alleged criminal enterprise RICO energy allegedly once again, right? Capricorn is also related to the past, your past memories and things of this nature. He might have done some things on the come up. Now, this is the real kicker right here. He has his vertex in Leo. Vertex is fate. So he was fated to become famous with his vertex in Leo. That's a fact. Vertex is associated with fate. So Leo is associated with charisma, the ego, confidence, right? Fame, things of this nature. All right. And his vertex is kind of stationed there. There's really no oppositional energy to his vertex. He really doesn't. I mean, we could look at his Uranus, but he has no Aquarius, strong Aquarius energy. But we can look at his Uranus. His Uranus is in Libra, so there's that's where the fame aspect comes in for him. He was always destined to become famous, right? But his Lilith is in Cancer. Lilith is the wounded healer. It's where your wounds in life come from. A lot of his wounds come from his family, his home, his emotions, his mother. When you've got Lilith in Cancer, you can have an unhealthy relationship to possibly your family and or your mother. And then you may look at other people and idealize their relationships with their families and their mothers, right? Now, it depends. Once again, in this case, we can deduce that Diddy has an unhealthy relationship to his mother based off of the oppositional energy to that Lilith in Cancer. Because it would be in opposition to his Mars in Capricorn. How he expresses his anger. So a lot of the times when Diddy's angry, he's allegedly really angry at his mother. Let's take a look, shall we? Last thing we're going to look at. His Lilith in Cancer. Lilith is the shadow side of one's personality. This also shows that, unfortunately, Diddy has an unhealthy relationship with his emotions and expressing his emotions. Because his Lilith in Cancer, Cancer is ruled by the moon and Cancer are both associated with how you express your emotions, would be in opposition to his Mars in Capricorn. Mars is associated with how you express your raw energy, including your anger. See, when you've got Mars in Capricorn and the Lilith in Cancer, you may have a tendency to bottle things in and then blow up, right? At the worst times. And a lot of times, when you blow up, it's a combination of different things you're angry at, but the target of your anger is getting the brunt of everything, aka Cassie. Diddy being unhealed was always the problem. Diddy not healing from his childhood was always the problem. Diddy's daddy issues was always the problem. Diddy's mother and mother issues was always the problem. It's safe to say maybe Diddy was doomed from the start, but he had it within him at some point to shift his trajectory. He was always meant to be a warlock, but not in this way. And now when you've done so much, there's no amount of turning around spiritually and finally getting on your right path that's going to change things. The deed is done. Diddy's anger created his karma. Diddy's anger issues created his karma. When you look back at that Cassie video, look at it through the eyes of almost look at him as a young boy, like a 5-year-old who never had a healthy relationship with his mother, never had a healthy relationship with his father, never had a healthy relationship with his emotions and being able to express his emotions, and probably has a lot of unhealed trauma. Now, when you have that Scorpio energy, especially growing up, Mercury in Scorpio, you see things and or experience things growing up that maybe some young people should not experience. I'll let you leave your, leave the imagination, read between the lines there, right? There's different forms of abuse. That's Diddy's chart, y'all. We basically just broke down Diddy through his natal chart. Do the puzzle pieces make more sense? Does everything make more sense? Not excusing it, but once again, Lord have mercy. Codependency, misplaced anger. Lilith deals with wounds too. Yes, it does. Lilith. Lilith is the dark feminine and chaos. Exactly. And we also have to look at what was Diddy's relationship with his femininity. Right, because Cassie said he would just hit her, kick her out of nowhere. Right, he put that girl through the ringer. Yeah, if you're unable to face your shadow self, this is what can happen. Yep. Yes, Lilith represents the shadow side of the psyche. Yep, encompassing raw, unfiltered emotions, desires, and hidden or taboo aspects of the personality. Yep. Yep. What did he experience growing up in that home? What did that mother, I don't even want to know. I really don't even want to know. I rebuke it in the name of Jesus. Let me spray real quick, child. No, ma'am. Mm-mm. Poor Justin Bieber, right? He was meant to be in the light, exactly. He never had a childhood, but like you said, he could have changed and he didn't. Exactly. Yep. This is deep. Exactly. Diddy is known for his temper tantrums and can't stand when somebody stands up to him. Yep. He's still that inner child that's acting out, unfortunately. But this is his big wake up call. And another example of control issues is getting him that boy to cut his hair in day 26 when he was in the Making the Band. You know, I haven't seen Making the Band since it first aired in the 2000s. It's all laid out now. You need to sage and more sage that energy away, Lamarr. I know. Oh my God, I know. I said I was gonna sage, but dang, this day went by so fast. I said I was gonna. I'll say. Okay, yeah, you're right. Thank you, Goodly Bless. I saw an interview from Liam Payne. He said when One Direction first signed their contract, Clive Davis sent the group to live with Diddy. They were like 14-year-old boys allegedly. Ugh. Why would you send them to Diddy at 14? All right. He was allegedly taken advantage of. Yeah, allegedly. I need to take a Florida water bath. I'm telling you, Sonia. Allegedly, Usher, Tyrese, and Justin Bieber lived with Diddy at some point. He hated himself, allegedly. Exactly, Keisha. Yeah, we have to look at what Usher, Tyrese, and Justin Bieber did because we know Diddy has a connection to secrecy. I'm now wondering what that connection could be to secret societies and stuff like that, allegedly. Because that could be part of his purpose, too. Late night at the devil, anyone? All right, you guys, I gotta go. I gotta get ready to go to the movies. We spent an entire hour on Diddy's chart, but child, this is basically what a birth chart would be like if you got a reading from me. All right. So just as in depth, and things of this nature. So thank you all so much for listening and watching. This has been Diddy's birth chart. If you would like to book a reading with me, I'm available. You can text me at 703-791-9162, or you can visit my website, lamartownsendtarot.com. I'll be calling you for a reading tomorrow. Yes, Sonia, I'm available tomorrow, so definitely book me for a reading. What am I finna see? I'm going to go see The Naked Gun with Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson. I love Pamela Anderson. I think she's so adorable, and I do like Liam Neeson as well. So, all right, you guys. Bye, everyone. And Diddy, ciao. The puzzle pieces make so much more sense. Bye, y'all. When I look in the mirror, I love who I see. My spiritual journey aligns me with my destiny. My ancestor spirit guides, they teach me how to fly. I just need a guy who will be my standby. When you're doing your best, you love what you see. Your higher self aligns you with your perfect destiny. Blessings and love to the Most High. I just need a guy who will be my standby. Stand by me and be humble when life tries to get you down. I'll stand by you when you crumble and you're feeling like you're gonna drown. Stand by me and be humble and life won't get you down. I'll hold your hand when you crumble and get out of this town. Stand by me and be humble when life tries to get you down. I'll stand by you when you crumble and you're feeling like you're gonna drown. Stand by me and be humble and life won't get you down. I'll hold your hand when you crumble and get out of this town. Stand by me and be humble when life tries to get you down. I'll stand by you when you crumble and you're feeling like you're gonna drown. Stand by me and be humble and life won't get you down. I'll hold your hand when you fumble and get out of this town. Stand by me and be humble when life tries to get you down. I'll stand by you when you crumble and you're feeling like you're gonna drown. Stand by me and be humble and life won't get you down. I'll hold your hand when you fumble and get out of this town.